Jim Patterson.
Here.
Ed Reed.
Here.
And staff, we have our temporary CIO, Martina Chait-Hardwick. And we have Nicole Zinner and Vanessa Sweeting helping us with the technical part of the meeting. So throughout the meeting, applicants, and I notice there are a couple applicants online right now, and there will be opportunity for them to comment as we go through the various process. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, could I have the approval of the minutes from August the 7th? Ken moves it, and who would second that, please? Ed, and any questions or comments? All in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Okay, next we have I think I may have given the wrong date for the previous minutes. I think it should be September the 25th rather than August the 7th. So if the clerk could mention.
Sure. Yeah, you're correct, Mr. Chair. It is September 25th.
Okay. Thank you. The first application is Deborah and David Stoker. Martina, could you take us through this? I see Ms. Stoker is here, and along with her representative, looks like Holly. Mm-hmm. So Martina, would you take us through the highlights of the application, please?
Very good. So this application is for file A0420 for Deborah and David Santok. The property is actually held by a numbered company that they control. It's numbered company 1467599 Ontario Limited. Their agent is Holly Richard Conley, and she's on the line as well. The property is described as concession 11, part lots 32 and 33, 1780 South Bay Shore Road West, Dummer Ward, roll number 020-005-56300. The owners would like to construct a new detached garage on the property. To permit the accessory structure in the proposed location, variances are required to reduce the setback requirements from the lot line abutting a public or private road from 15 meters, 49.2 feet, to 6.5 meters, 21.17 feet, and 9.7 meters, 31.87 feet. The variance is required so that the accessory structure can be located outside of the 30-meter, 100-foot water yard setback. All of this is shown on the site plan that's been prepared by JBF Surveyors, Ontario Land Surveyor, dated August 17th, 2020. The property is zoned as limited service residential zone, and residential uses, including accessory structures, are permitted within this zone. In this case, the applicant is seeking relief from section 3.1.2 of the zoning bylaw, location of an accessory structure, in order to construct the detached garage located within 15 meters of the lot line abutting the private road known as South Bay Shore Road West. The applicant states the reason for the application is as follows. In consultation with municipality staff, this was determined to be the best location outside of the 100-foot water yard setback, the detached garage. The property in question is described as follows. The property is fairly flat property with medium to light tree coverage on the southwest side of the property. There are some large granite rock outcroppings and medium to dense tree coverage to the east. Closer to the water's edge, the property very steeply slopes towards the water. A new dwelling is under construction on the property. The notice was circulated to the management team and no comments were received. Comments were not received from ORCA, but it is expected that a permit will be required for this project. It appears that the traveled road is considerably further away from the lot line that abuts the actual right-of-way, as indicated on the site plan. The rail fence extends to the right of the right-of-way by approximately 10 feet, considerably reducing the impact of the proposed location on the roadway. In addition, there are several detached garages on this stretch of road that appear to be located about the same distance from the private road. Maintaining the 30-meter water yard setback is important along these developed shorelines, and the proposed garage would not appear to impact safe sightlines from the roadway. The application does appear to be consistent with the provincial policy statement. In the committee's decision, they should state how the decision meets or does not meet the four tests. The application is or is not minor in nature. The application is or is not desirable and appropriate to the development of this land. The application meets or does not meet the general intent of the official plan. The application meets or does not meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The committee will also need to pass a resolution regarding the impact, if any, of any comments that were received regarding this application. I will let Amanda speak before we speak to the recommended resolution for that section. And if this minor variance is approved, the recommended conditions are as follows. The variance would be for the life of the structures only. The applicant would obtain any necessary permits from ORCA, Douro-Dummer Building Department, Trent Severn Waterways, and any other required ministry or agencies. Proper building plans be submitted with the building permit application based on the design included on the site plan prepared by JBF Surveyors, Ontario Land Surveyor, dated August 17th, 2020. That the exterior corners of the structures be pinned by a surveyor on poured footings, and a copy of the survey be provided to the chief building official after the footings are poured and prior to any further construction taking place. That verification from an Ontario Land Surveyor be provided to the township's chief building official after the structures are framed to confirm that all applicable setback requirements have been met and to ensure compliance with any relief granted by this decision of the committee. And finally, that if any archaeological artifacts are found during construction, all development shall be halted immediately and the proper agencies be contacted. So I'll ask Amanda if she has other points that she would like the committee to consider.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Unmuted. Yeah, I don't have much else to add. I kind of added my comments into the report there, but basically the way the garage is oriented, it doesn't appear to have any impacts on the roadway there. And since the actual traveled road is like further away than the actual right-of-way exists, I don't think that there's going to be any impacts here. I will mention that we are awaiting comments from ORCA on this one. They did identify that there's a wetland that exists within 120 meters, which is a requirement for basically Planning Act applications in the growth plan, which applies to Douro-Dummer. So I do expect to hear something from ORCA at some point. Not sure why we haven't received comments yet. But they were going to give us their opinion as to whether or not an environmental impact study was going to be required. So.
Okay, thank you. Holly or Deborah, do you have any comments?
No, nothing further at this time. Just am able to answer any questions that the committee has.
Sure. Any committee members, any comments? Oh, pardon me, Deborah, have you any comment or?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to present this to the committee today. And the only thing I would want to add is that initially we had sought to have the garage as part of the house structure, but we did meet with the municipality early on and they felt that this location was a better place for the use of the lot. And so, you know, we have tried to cooperate with the municipal staff in terms of how they do their planning in the area. So that's why it is where it is.
Okay, thanks for your input. Members of the committee, any questions or comments? Yes, Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, I did the site visit the other day. I do agree with Amanda. I think that location is the best location. Being the garage doors are on the east side, not even on the traveled portion of the road that is a ways away. As far as I'm concerned, these planning applications have to be submitted and meet certain timelines. And if ORCA can't respond today, hopefully this committee does not hold this application up. They have ample time to review and respond. I mean, the applicant pays a fee to ORCA for this purpose. So I don't think it's the applicant or the agent's fault that we haven't heard back from Orca. So maybe this might be a lesson learned, because I'm prepared to move that we approve this application.
Just before we do that, go ahead, Martina.
Mr. David Fulton is also on the line. He's a member of the public who asked to participate in the meeting today. I don't know if he has comments or not.
Yes, I was going to,
So I didn't know if you could see him.
right.
Thank you.
Any other comments from anyone? This is a public meeting for input. So Mr. Fullerton, you got comments?
No, not at this time. Thank you for
Okay.
having me join you.
Okay.
And good
welcome.
morning, Deborah.
Okay. Okay, Ed, have you got a question or comment?
It's just a comment, it's about the rationale for the variance. Excuse me. The rationale being that it's required to meet the 30-meter, 100-foot setback. I thought that was a strong rationale for the minor variance.
Yes. Yep. And thank you to the applicant for considering that. Jim?
I heard what Ken said about workers need to be timely. And I certainly support that. At the same time, if we move ahead with this and Orca comes in a week or 10 days from now, what do we do then? Because in the long run, we're trying to maintain the relationship and keep the Orca principles in terms of water conservation and land use and everything else. It's a good thing. So I don't think we should be rushing to perhaps get out of sync with the approval process. And
I would agree with
we
you.
understand we need to push them to be timely, but I think if we had not received this application, if we had not received their input, we should have postponed this hearing.
I guess one of the things that part of this public process is the 20-day appeal period. And if they feel strong about an issue, they would have to be taken to another level. Am I correct in that, Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair. That is true, but this application, if it were to be approved by the committee, excuse me, would need to get a permit from Orca as well as part of their building permit process. So if Orca had concerns or needed additional studies to be completed to comply with their requirements, that could be done during the building permit process. It doesn't need to be done at this moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
No, yeah, I mean, those are all good points. I just want to reiterate though, that that's why the planning process has the dates and timelines involved. Like, flip it on the other side. What if the agent maybe missed the filing by a couple of days? Like, they wouldn't accepted the application. So I think the rules have to apply on both sides. Like, Orca gets paid out of that fee. They get paid decent fee to review or peer review, whatever the word is, this application. So again, I move that we approve it. Like you say, I guess because of this, I was wondering why they were wanting an Orca permit, because it's more than the 100 feet back. But if in fact this wetland is within the 120 meters, then the applicant and agent are going to have to deal with that at the time to get the Orca permit to then fulfill the building permit. So if in fact an environmental impact study is required, then it's going to get caught at that time, because they'll need it to then secure the Orca permit. So
Okay.
I don't think we're causing any harm by moving ahead and keeping with the proper timelines under the Planning Act.
Is there a seconder for the motion? Okay, Ed, any further comments? Those in favor, please show your hand. Okay, those opposed? The motion is carried. There is, to the applicant, there is a 20-day appeal period, and you will receive written advice, written decision of this committee shortly. Anything else, Martina, that we should review?
Yes, so the committee does need to pass a resolution regarding the impact of any comments
Yeah.
or documents that have been submitted. So I'm recommending that the committee pass the following resolution: that the committee has not received any written submissions from the public regarding minor variance application AO 420, and thus has made its decision on the basis of the application, submissions from the property owner, agent, and the staff report.
Okay, Ken moves that, and is there a seconder? Jim? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much for your time this morning. And I think that ends that application. We got one more application. And I believe, Holly, you're handling it as well.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, Holly. How's that little one?
He's good. He's almost 2.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't take long, eh?
Nope.
Okay, Martina, can you take us through this application for Terry Windrum?
Very good. Just so the committee knows, there has been a slight change to the application. So Amanda will speak to that, but I'll just review the report as it's being presented.
Thank you.
So this application is A0520, Terry Windrum. Holly Richard Conley is the agent. The property is described as Concession 1, Part Lot 27, Plan 33, Part Lot 4. It's a vacant lot on Birchview Road in the Douro ward. The roll number is 010-001-05901. The owner would like to construct a new dwelling and boathouse, as well as install a new septic system on the vacant property. To permit the septic system in the proposed location, variances are required to reduce the rear yard setback requirement from 15 meters, 49.2 feet, to 7.17 meters, 23.5 feet, a variance of 7.83 meters. The variance is required also so that the dwelling and the septic system are located outside of the 30-meter, 100-foot water yard setback. To permit the boathouse in the proposed location, variances are required to reduce the side yard setback requirements from 9 meters, 29.5 feet, to 3.02 meters, 10 feet, a variance of 5.98 meters. The variance is required to locate the boathouse in a more suitable location on the property. Comments had been received from Orca that the boathouse is located close to the water's edge and within the flood hazard. Clarification is required to determine if the applicant owns the shoreline and accuracy of the flooding hazard elevation noted on the site plan. The subject property is zoned shoreline residential SR zone, and residential uses, including boathouses, are permitted within the zone. In this case, the applicant is seeking relief from section 3.1.6 boathouses and section 6.2 shoreline residential zone in order to construct a boathouse located within 9 meters of the side lot line and a septic system within 15 meters of the rear lot line abutting a road. The applicant states the reasons for the application are as follows. We are requesting a decrease in the side yard for the upland boathouse due to the nature of the water yard in this lot. The southwest edge of the shoreline is sloped and provides the only logical access down to the water. The northeast side of the shoreline provides the best location for the boathouse in front of the cliff. The property in question is described as follows. The property is very gently sloped from the road to the proposed location of the dwelling. The left side of the lot facing the lake slopes steeply from the proposed dwelling to the lake. The right side is a series of limestone rock cliffs. There is a level area at the shore approximately 15 to 20 feet deep that runs the length of the shoreline. There is also significant trees on the property, and the property will maintain a tree buffer along both sides of the lot line. There are some larger lots along this part of Birchview. However, it appears that directly to the northeast of this lot, the lots are almost identical in size and have been developed similarly to the proposed dwelling on this lot. The notice was circulated to the management team and no comments were received. At the time of writing this report, comments were received from Orca seeking clarification on the ownership of the shoreline regarding the location of the boathouse and confirmation of the flood elevations as noted on the site plan. The application does appear to be consistent with the provincial policy statement. The committee should state in its decision how the decision meets or does not meet the 4 tests. The application is or is not minor in nature. The application is or is not desirable and appropriate to the development of the land. The application meets or does not meet the general intent of the official plan. The application meets or does not meet the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The committee will also need to pass a resolution regarding the impact, if any, of the comments that were received, but that will be done after we review the report and Amanda and Holly speak to it. If this minor variance is approved, the following conditions are recommended. That the variance would be for the life of the structure only, that the applicant would obtain any necessary permits from ORCA, Douro-Dummer Building Department, Trent Severn Waterways, and any other required agency or ministry. That proper building plans be submitted with the building permit application based on the designs included on the site plan by Elliott and Parr dated July 15, 2020. That the exterior corners of the structures be pinned by a surveyor on poured footings and a copy of the survey be provided to the chief building official after the footings are poured and prior to any further construction taking place. That verification from an Ontario land surveyor be provided to the township's chief building official after the structures are framed to confirm that all applicable setback requirements have been met and to ensure compliance with any relief granted by this decision of the committee. That if any archaeological artifacts are found during construction, that all development be halted immediately and the proper agencies be contacted. That the applicant's ownership of the shoreline, the property which the boathouse is proposed to be located on between the high water mark as shown on registered plan number 33 and the maximum controlled high water level contour elevation be confirmed. And I believe Amanda does have additional comments, and I think Holly does as well.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so no further comments on the septic bed, but we have been in touch with the applicant this week and they have requested to remove the boathouse minor variance from the decision based on, so if you guys all have the site plan in front of you, you can see the dark elevation line shown, which is the high watermark that was recorded on the historical registered plan. And so that's actually the limits of this applicant's property as of right now. So there does appear through conversations we've been having with ORCA and the Trent Severn, there does appear to be a strip of unclaimed land where they're proposing to locate the boathouse. So in order to issue a minor variance and a building permit, the applicants need to own that property. So we had discussions with the applicant to remove that or defer it, and they've chosen to move forward with the septic minor variance, and we'll have to reapply in future for the boathouse. So yes. As for the flood elevation, the preliminary comments we got from ORCA, the survey that we were provided has multiple floodplain contour elevations. So ORCA was seeking clarification on those from the surveyor. And it does appear that the boathouse is in the floodplain based on any of those contours realistically. So the ORCA did have some stipulations regarding that would likely be dealt with at their permit stage. But since the boathouse isn't really subject to the minor variance, isn't the subject of the minor variance anymore, I don't know if anyone has any questions. We can certainly discuss it, but it doesn't really need to be part of your decision today.
Okay. Thank you, Holly.
Yeah, just clarification on the land. We sought clarification from the surveyor, depending on which lakes you are and where you're located on those lakes. Some of this like beyond the limit land is either filled land, and then it becomes an issue to contact Trent Severn Waterway and either lease the land or purchase it. In this case, the surveyor provided us with a letter stating that it was unclaimed land. Therefore, it's up to the owner to either claim it or not claim it. And in this case, the owner is in the middle of the legal process of claiming the land. The lawyer was hired back in August to do so, but this stuff doesn't happen quickly. So we're sort of stuck in limbo in regards to this ownership right now. So we removed it from the application at this time until the ownership comes under Mr. Windrum.
Okay, thank you. Martina, with the boathouse removed and the only issue being the septic system, this seems to be the first application I've ever seen for a septic system being a committee of adjustment. Has something changed that requires these to be now come before a committee of adjustment?
So typically in the past, when a septic system has been an issue, it's also been an issue with the dwelling that's being placed on the site as well.
Okay,
And so the concerns regarding the septic was wrapped into the discussion of the dwelling.
okay,
In this case, the placement of the dwelling is not of concern and is not party to the application that's before us. And so
okay,
that's why the septic is being treated as an individual structure.
okay. Anything further comments, Holly or Amanda? Okay, committee comments or questions? Ed, go ahead.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a comment, and it's regarding our application of the 4 tests. And when I look at our number 1, is it a minor variance application? What is minor is always a bit subjective. If we're looking at a reduction of 10%, I'm sure that's minor. If it's 20%, could be. If it's 33%, maybe it is. But in this case, with regard to the septic applied for variance, they're asking for a reduction of 52% of the setback. And I struggle to think that that's really a minor variance, and more so because of the nature of the site. It is a limestone, fissured, layered limestone site as opposed to a deep sandy moraine. So I just wonder if the applicant isn't trying to do too much with a difficult site.
Martina, we've all been to various training sessions on this percentage, using percentage. Martina, you're probably more recent training. Can you help us there relative to that comment?
Sure. Through you, Mr. Chair. There have been multiple rulings from what was the OMB and what is now LPAT, and recommendations from the committee, the Ontario Committees of Adjustment Association, and they all speak to what is minor and how minor can be defined. And in those discussions, they do not look at the percentages. They suggest that it has to be on a context basis, not on a mathematical basis. So you can look to the neighborhood and see how this application fits within the neighborhood to see if there's other similar situations, if it's minor on the lot, but you're not supposed to use a mathematical formula to determine whether it's minor in nature.
Okay, Ken, have you got a further comment there?
Yeah, just a brief one. I mean, I think Ed makes I understand the point Ed's trying to make. I guess when I look at the site plan though, and I think he's right in another way. I mean, this is a bit of a challenge lot just from the topography of the lot. But when you look at the new proposed structure or dwelling, I mean, they've met all the setbacks there. Like, so the 100, because it's vacant, it has to be the 100-foot back from the high water. It's met every other setback. So now that you're talking with the septic, I mean, personally, I'm more happy that a big, like, it looks like a fairly large dwelling, at least that meets all the appropriate setbacks. The septic, once it's installed, I mean, let's be honest, no one's going to even see it. Again, with the limestone that Ed commented on, I walked that lot pretty good, albeit it was pretty muddy the other day, but that limestone comes right to the surface. I mean, there's really no other place I see where you could probably fit the tank and the filter bed. So, yeah, albeit it's maybe mathematically, it looks like a big ask. Like I said, I'm more happy that the dwelling meets all the appropriate setbacks and as a result doesn't even become part of the minor variance. So in this case, I can certainly live with it.
Okay, any further comments? Jim? Yep.
Septics are subject to health department, or is that now moved to Douro-Dummer's domain?
Through you, Mr. Chair, they're now under the domain of the township. And so it's a separate, we have a septic department and we have a building department.
And our septic department had no comment on this.
That's correct.
But I just, to add to that, the requirements for the septic or in the building, all the requirements are covered under the Canadian or the Ontario Building Code and health. We have a requirement to meet all those specs.
Thank you.
Anything further from any member? Okay, would there be a motion on the floor? Who would like to move a motion?
No,
Go ahead, Ken.
Well, I'm not trying to take over these things, but I was waiting to see if anybody else would move it. But like, again, according to my comments, and let's be honest, being on the lake shore, this septic is miles away from the lake, which I'm pleased to see. So I'm prepared to approve the application.
Okay, or a seconder? Jim? Okay, discussion, Martina.
Just to clarify with Ken on his motion, are you moving that the motion be approved as presented with the conditions and that it meets the 4 tests?
Yes, and I'm approving the application with the removal of the boathouse as we previously spoke to. So
Thank you.
this is just strictly the septic. The septic.
Okay. Does a seconder approve of that? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? In favor? Those opposed? It's carried. Okay, a further motion to, I guess we did receive additional information here regarding the update to the application. Should that be included in the motion, Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, I'm recommending that the motion that the committee passes regarding comments is as follows. That the application has not received any written submissions from the public regarding minor variance application AO 520 and thus has made its decision on the basis of the application. Submissions from the agent, comments from Otonabee Region Conservation Authority, and that's it.
Okay, who would like to move that well-worded motion? Jim, seconded by Wendy. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Okay, now the 20-day appeal period. You're familiar with that, Holly. There's no need for me to review that with you. Next meeting, November the 27th, if that's okay with everyone, at 9 a.m. a Friday. Okay. If there's, assume any applications, or if there's no applications, we will let you know that it's not scheduled. Okay, well, I guess we asked for a meeting to adjourn this portion of the meeting, the planning portion, and we'll have, pardon me, the committee of adjustment portion, and we'll immediately start our planning committee meeting right away. So a motion to adjourn, Ken, and seconded by Wendy. And all in favor? And opposed? Carried. Okay. Okay, we'd like to call the meeting to the Planning Committee to order, please. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes for August the 7th, 2020. Wendy? Move that, and seconded by Jim. Any comments or corrections? All those in favor? Those opposed? It's carried. Okay, we have one application. If Martina, could you take us through this application for concession 9, lot 10? The creation of a new residential lot.
So this is file number B6120 for Gerald Bolton. The location is part lot 10 concession 9. It's a vacant area on County Road 32 in the Douro ward. The roll number is 010-004-07400. Andrea is on the line. She's the agent for this application as well. Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry, excuse me. I see that Andrea Bolton is on the line, but I believe the agent is Jennifer Buckland. The purpose of the application is the creation of one new residential lot. The official plan designation on both the severed and retained is rural. Residential uses are permitted in the rural designation, provided fragmentation of farmlands and conflict with adjacent farm operations are not created. The parcel does not appear to be eligible for severance. Amanda will probably speak to this in a little bit. There are no previous severances within the last 25 years. The zoning on both the severed and the retained is rural, and rezonings are not required. The severed lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for residential use in the rural zone, section 9.2.4. The retained lot will meet the area and frontage requirements for residential use in the rural zone, section 9.2.4. There are minimal impacts anticipated from the adjacent industrial lands due to the level of residential development already present, and an adequate separation distance of 20 meters can be provided between the sensitive land use and the property deemed to be Class 1 industrial facility. The severance proposal does appear to be in conformity with the provincial policy statement. The access for these lots is off of a county road, and so the township did not comment on that. The CBO comments that there are no obvious restrictions to development. Special attention to lot size will be required to maintain adequate area for septic development. A copy of the county's preliminary severance review is attached to the report. Discussions with county's infrastructure services, autonomy conservation, and County of Peterborough planning staff have resolved most of the issues with the application. For a residential lot in the rural designation, the landowner must have owned the property for a minimum of 5 years. According to property assessment information obtained by the County of Peterborough, the property changed ownership in 2019 and as a result does not meet the minimum requirements to qualify for a severance. A condition has been added for the property owner to confirm ownership of the property and or through consultation with the county that the intent of the policy has been met. Further, regarding the proposed lot line between the retained and the severed parcels, it intersects a 30-meter vegetative protective zone of hydrological features protected by the growth plan. Consultation with ORCA has confirmed that no EIS will be required as there is not likely to be any impacts due to the presence of a rail trail between the proposed lots and the stream. The County of Peterborough Infrastructure Services have confirmed that a shared entrance can be accommodated on the property. The property is designated for restricted land use under Section 59 of the Clean Water Act in relation to Peterborough's municipal surface water system, and a notice is required under the Trent Source Protection Plan. Confirmation from Terry Cox, Risk Management Official and Inspector for Autonomy Peterborough Source Protection Area, has been provided to the county that there is no significant threat associated with this land use activity. All department managers had been circulated for comment on this application. The recommendation that's before the committee is that the application be recommended to council that severance application B6120 for Gerald Bolton be approved, and if approved by the Peterborough County Land Division Committee, that the following conditions be imposed. A $1,250 cash in lieu of parkland fee be paid to the municipality. When the applicant files for a formal consent application, there be fees to inspect the test holes to ensure a septic system will be viable. The current fee is $150 for the severed lot and $150 for the retained as they are vacant, and the applicant is responsible for digging the test holes. That confirmation of suitable building envelope, including adequate area for septic development, be provided for both the severed and the retained. That the applicant provide confirmation of property ownership of at least 5 years or confirmation from the approval authority County of Peterborough, that the intent of the severance policy has been met.
Thank you, Martina. Andrea, do you have, or pardon me, Amanda, any further comments, please?
Yes, I just wanted to comment that we did have an opportunity to discuss with the Director of Planning at the county that the information provided by the applicant's agent, Jennifer, that because the property had been held previously by the same applicant for, I believe it was like 25 years prior to the last transfer in 2017 to 19. It was transferred to be held in trust by a family member. So the Director of Planning is of the opinion that that type of family trust transfer it does meet the intent of that policy in the official plan. And it wasn't intended that the property was sold for redevelopment in any way. So we are of the opinion that that last condition is met by the information provided by the applicant and that confirmation from the director as well. So that issue's been cleared up.
Thank you, Amanda.
No problem.
Andrea, do you have any comments that you'd like to add to the committee before there's any questions? No comment? I've got to leave the meeting just for a moment here. Just okay. All right, folks. Okay. So no further comments there, Andrea? Okay.
If she can hear you.
I'm not sure she can hear me.
Are you directing that at Andrea or Jennifer?
Oh,
Andrea.
yeah. So, whomever is listed as Andrea Bolton on the screen, that's who we're directing the comments at.
Perhaps your name is Jennifer, is it?
Well, yeah, I'm the agent. Andrea Bolton is actually Gerald's niece.
That's
Okay.
how you're listed on the Zoom call. So that's maybe where the confusion came from.
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay.
That's really unusual. No, I'm Jennifer Buckland. I'm Graham Bolton's wife.
Okay.
So I'm
is
Gerald's daughter-in-law.
Is there any comment?
Sorry, no.
Any comments
Sorry?
you wish to make further?
No, not at all. I appreciate all the work that everyone's put into it, and
Good. Committee
be
members,
sure to fulfill. Thank you.
any comments from committee members? Okay, Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, just more of a comment. I'm going to be honest, like this is not my strength and my wheelhouse, these severances. Typically when you have a severed and a retained, the retained is attached to another principal property. At least that's how I think it is. Because in this case, are we not in fact creating two new lots? Like I know the application says to create a new residential lot, but in this case, the severance, like the retained lot's going to become another lot, is it not? I just want for clarification. I'm not saying I got an issue with it. And the only other thing I find confusing when you go through all these reports, I mean, there's parts here it says, you know, they recommend we approve it, but then it says doesn't meet with this county plan, doesn't meet with the township plan, doesn't meet with the greater horseshoe or the provincial policy. And those things confuse me. So I don't know if I need training, or I don't know if any of the other committee members find that when they go through these reports, but you'll like I read that it doesn't meet anything, but then we're approving it. So I just need some help there myself. It's just more of a comment.
Okay, Martina, can you comment, and then maybe Amanda?
That's exactly what I was thinking as well. So for the issue of two lots being created, there's already one lot. And so by creating the new lot line, which is splitting the retained, we are creating a new lot. So you do end up with 2 lots in the end, and we currently have 1 lot. I don't know if that provides any clarification. And then if Amanda wants to speak to how the PSR gets developed into the staff report, that would be helpful.
Yes, and I can provide a little more clarification on the other 2 for Mr. Jackman. When you're, I'm trying to think if I have a image of it, but I don't. So yeah, Martina did a good job of explaining that. So think of it as a net gain in property. So there is an existing property right now, and so the retained is really the existing, or what's left over of the existing lot, and then the new lot is being divided off of that one. So on a larger parcel, it always seems a little bit more clear. Like if it's a farmland parcel with a small little 1 acre square, it always seems a little more clear that the existing is still staying. In this case, it does look like we're creating two new parcels, especially when it's vacant. But it is in fact only increasing our lots by 1. So that's why it's worded that way. And then, so the preliminary severance review is based on the initial severance request, basically from the county. So I think we use preliminary severance reviews within 5 years, unless there's been a significant policy change from the province. So this PSR was done in May, so it's still fairly recent. But you'll note that even if there's further information required, like an environmental impact study or more information about the property ownership, for example, our preliminary severance reviews indicate that it doesn't conform. Now, if the applicant is able to provide that information, clarify any questions, or rejig the lot lines, whatever that issue is in the original PSR, if they're able to provide that information with their application, we don't bother updating that PSR because it's all issued in the new report that goes to the County Land Division Committee. So at the township level, we have the information that's provided in the PSR, which is the official plan designations, the county and municipal, as well as the zoning. And by giving us their updated site plan, showing a building envelope, giving us the information regarding the property ownership. And what was the other issue on this one? The hydrologic features was confirmed by Orca that they don't have concerns due to the physical properties on the property. So that because that rail trail is there, Orca, basically our environmental planning service, has provided their opinion that that rail trail isn't going to impact the issues presented from the growth plan and the PPS. So basically through the application process, we've satisfied all those issues that were flagged in the PSR. So that's basically what's presented in the township report, and ultimately what will be in my planning report that'll go to County Land Division once we get the supportive resolution and municipal appraisal form from the township level. So does that kind of help explain the different stages and steps in the application process?
Does that satisfy your comments, Ken? You're still...
I mean, yeah, yeah, I guess. It's like I said, it's not my strength in the wheelhouse for sure, and I'm going to be honest with that. But thanks for that explanation. But I guess maybe if those reports could be separated somehow. I don't know if anybody else in the committee is reading it the way I do, but I find them confusing to say the least.
Okay. Wendy?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Ken, what I've done is I read the preliminary service report, and then I go back to the original severance review and try to see if everything's been checked off as to what was initially complained about, and see if they've met the conditions. That's sort of the way I've started doing it, because I used to be very confused like you in the beginning. But It's been helpful for me to do it that way.
One other thing that is in the process right now is the updates of the official plan. So some of the references to the official plan are to an official plan that's been in place for a number of years. And hopefully there will be more clarity moving forward for future severances once the official plan is updated. But that's, with COVID and everything else going on, it's probably going to be a while before everything is put in place. So, okay, any further comments? Okay, Ed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one comment. I noted that that the application, the proposals within the designated source water protection area, and I was struck, and I think it's a strength that the Tonabee Peterborough source protection area has provided the county with their opinion that there's no significant threat associated with the proposal, its land use, despite that initial appearance. It's like, oh, it looks like it's in a important source water protection area, but that issue, like Ken, initially confused me, but going back, rereading and saying, okay, initially doesn't conform, but there it's been addressed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are we ready for a motion?
Sure.
Jim, you go ahead, Jim.
Well, I guess we're approving to recommend to our council that this proceed with the conditions that were outlined.
Realistic. Is there a seconder for that motion? Ed? Any further comments? All in favor? Those opposed? It's carried. So Jennifer, what happens now? It's recommended to the Township Council. They're one of many agencies that comment on this, on the severance application. And you will get notification from the various groups. It's a fairly long process, but hopefully it goes well for you. And I think this will possibility of 2 more houses in the hamlet of Bolton's Corners. So, becoming quite a metropolis.
Traffic jam.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, thank you very much. There's, I don't think there's anything else, Martina, on that application.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, next thing is next meeting for severances, if there are any, on November the 27th, of the same as Committee of Adjustment. Thank you, Amanda, for attending. Are you going to be attending all our meetings from now on?
Martina?
Through you, Mr. Chair. For the short term, Amanda is providing us with some planning support, and that's why she's attending today. And we'll see what the future brings.
Well, you've been welcome, and Amanda, at any time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything else from the committee members? Thank you very much, and have a great day. Have a good weekend. And
Likewise, thank you.
Martina, before you got something?
Yeah, we I think Wendy had her hand up, and
Sorry,
then
Wendy.
we will also need a motion to adjourn after Wendy speaks.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Actually, it was just the motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll accept that motion. Is there a seconder? Seconder for Jim. Okay, all in favor? Those opposed? It's carried. Okay, folks, thanks very much and have a great weekend.
Have a good day.
Likewise, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.